Hello, everybody, and welcome to a brand new series. This is the brand new Stellaris DLC MegaCorp, with, as well, the new patch 2.2. Now, if you aren't familiar or haven't been paying attention to the dev diaries and kind of the stuff coming out about Stellaris, this is a huge update. They've revamped the planets and the pop system. They've added an economy, marketplace for the galaxy. In the DLC itself, they've added MegaCorps in, so it's a whole new subtype, or a whole new government type for your Empire/Star Nation. That has a lot of new options to it. Just generally a lot of stuff to change the game. It's like a whole new game, and I'm not being hype. I'm trying to be non-hyperbolic about that, but it's basically true. But yeah, usually I start this already on the map, but what I wanted to do here was I wanted to show you guys kind of the new stuff with the MegaCorps before we got into the game itself. So let's go to the new game. And as you can see, I've made another MegaCorp for like a side game, just to test out some of the new mechanics before I went in here, not totally blind. But in this series, we're going to be playing as this race. Well, it's not even a race; it's just a faction because it's a company, and anybody can work in the company. But yeah, we'll be playing as Outstar Consumer Products, bringing about a finer future today. And essentially, MegaCorps have some new things to them. But we'll go in and we'll actually look at some of this stuff. So if we go to Edit, I won't be changing anything, but if we go to down here. So now there is, along with Hive Mind and Machine Intelligence, there is now Corporate that you can pick. And as you can see here, Corporate, so the leader is chosen every 20 years, the new CEO. And the modifier is you have a plus 20 administrative cap, but you don't have, you start incurring penalties for empire size far earlier, about twice as early as other empires. So there's not really like a planets limit or anything like that anymore. It's as you get larger, the effects on your research times and things like that start accruing more so. That's kind of I'm trying to explain it. Let's just say research costs more in terms of how long it'll take, depending on the size of your empire, and those penalties come by much quicker with the MegaCorp. So there we go. And as well with this, we have new civics. So the civics, when you pick corporation, just like when you pick machine intelligence or hive mind, there's a whole new choices of civics you can pick from. The ethics don't change. Like you can't be like a fanatic authoritarian and be a corporation because technically this is not an autocratic government, because you can choose to have a leader, or there is elections. So there's that. And you can't be a fanatic egalitarian because this technically, it's not fully democratic, I don't believe. So there's a couple of things you can't do with this. But yeah, you kind of have to be in the middle on some of these things. I think you can be a xenophobe extremely, or a xenophile extremely. You can be a fanatic material. Basically, I think the ones that lock you out are the egalitarian and authoritarian. If I go, well, I'm not going to mess around with things right now because I've got this where I want it to be. But let's take a look at some of these civics just before we get into the game, just to show you guys what's available for the future when you guys want to, or when you guys get the game. So I've chosen brand loyalty and franchising. So what that means is brand loyalty is plus 15% monthly unity, just around, down the board, which is, I think, pretty good. And franchising. So the effects of subsidiary subject power on relations is reduced 33%. So that's pretty good. And the impact of branch offices on our empire size is decreased by 1/4, by 25%. Now, branch offices are a thing MegaCorps can do, so if they have agreements with other powers, they can open up branch offices on their own, on other powers' colonies, And they do good things for the owner of the colony, but good things for us as well. So it's kind of like it's a good thing for both of us. But I think the MegaCorps come out on top a little bit better. And it's tied to how well the colony is doing in terms of how many pops are on it. But they do count towards our empire's size. But with this, we kind of decrease that a little bit, which I like a lot. That means we can have a lot of branch offices spread out, little franchises of Outstar on all kinds of worlds. So that's going to be pretty cool. But we also have other things that are available. Like criminal heritage is pretty good because it essentially means you don't need to have a commercial pact with other federations or empires, and essentially you need those to open up branch offices. You don't need that with these, and crime on branch office planets increases the value of the branch office, and you can build crime increasing branch office buildings in those, which is kind of cool. So like you're running little like protection rackets and mob connections and a whole bunch of stuff like that, which I find pretty cool. It's kind of fun. Free traders, just generally better trade and branch office value. Indentured assets, so a lot of slave stuff you can work with there, but you need to be an authoritarian to do that. Media conglomerate's kind of cool, so essentially means you're very good at spinning things for PR. So war exhaustion gain -5% and citizen pop happiness +5%, which is very good. We'll get into that later. Naval contractors, just naval capacity at 15%. Got to be a militarist. It's okay. Private military companies, good for army stuff. Private prospectors, which is pretty cool because essentially gives you better admin cap, and private colony ships unlocked from the start. So cheaper colony ships at the start, but you don't get to pick the pops that are used in them. So kind of, I think I like that idea. I might, when we get our next Civic, that might be something I go for. Ruthless competition, generally good just for better leaders. And trading post is nice because star bases become a lot more important with the new trade system that's implemented. We also have Gospel of the Masses, so if you are a spiritualist of some sort, spiritualist pops give an additional trade value, which is a new resource we'll go into, on all planets and branch offices. Can build Temple of Prosperity corporate building, which is nice, and better spiritualist ethics attraction. So, kind of like you're selling religion, which I like a lot. There's also 3 new voices that are in the game for your advisor. So,
to live is to consume.
You know, pretty nice.
Don't let the baseless accusations of wrongdoing fool you. Our competitors are simply projecting their own insecurities.
So you got
Here at MegaCorp, we always
they're a bit
put
long-winded.
your future first.
Okay, so you got those 2 kind of normal corporations, which you expect, but you also have this, which I like a lot.
Workers of the galaxy, unite. You have nothing to lose but your restraining fields.
That's pretty good. I like that a lot. And I think that's pretty much it. With the flag, there is new corporate icons that you can get, but that's really it. We're just going to go back there. Nothing's saved. Okay. So yeah, very interesting new stuff for those. I'm not exactly sure because I haven't gone too far into it, but about any other things that might be added for other empires. But let's go ahead and select this for our game. And we're going to go on a huge galaxy size elliptical. We're going to go for 12 to 25 empires, fairly good size there. Some advanced AR starts, fallen empires, some marauder empires, and everything else is pretty much set to what it is at the start. And we're not going to go for Iron Man mode just because I don't know. It's not real. I'm not going for an achievement run here. But yeah, I think that's actually, we might bring that down to 1 to 3 advanced AI starts. But everything else I'm good with. So let's go ahead and generate this galaxy. But yeah, this is... they've also added in a new Doomsday weapon that you can make. I think some more mega structures in the game as well. But yeah. So let's get into this. Outstar consumer products. So, in the eons since the first primitive Farin communities took shape in the rugged mountain valleys of Mitra, Our civilization has spread and prospered. In the early days, our people were governed by primitive feudal realms and inefficient nation-states. Gradually, as global trade increased, the influence of private corporations grew steadily, until their power far surpassed the governments that once tried to regulate them. After a series of mergers and violent takeovers during the destructive corporate wars, a single megacorporation eventually emerged as the sole ruling body of our homeworld. Now, after the discovery of the hyperlane network, the finest minds of Outstar Consumer Products have finished development of the first hyperdrives. The stars themselves are finally within our grasp. So I like that. That's pretty good. I guess we don't... And yeah, oh, by the way, I didn't go over our traits for this one. We're venerable, so very long-lived. Talented, so we have +1 on our level cap. But we're slow learners and slow breeders. So just we live long, but we take a long time to learn it in the first place. So let's begin. I'm also going to do this. I'm going to go to settings, sound, and we're going to put music volume up just a little bit. Just so we have that. And resume. Okay, so we can see here things have been redesigned in the game in terms of the UI. So there's no longer just a whole bunch of buttons here. They're all on this little pop out on the side. I'm not sure how I like about that. I'm not sure how I like it right now, but all the same shortcuts still work. There's also, well, most of them. There's a new one, but we'll get into that. We'll go over all the changes here. But before we go into the menus, you can also see there are new resources. So we have this standard 3, power, minerals, and food. I guess that's not power, that's energy credits. But we have 2 new resources. We have consumer goods and alloys. So consumer goods, that used to be a thing that kind of was taken off the top of your mineral income, which was paid out to your pops. But now it's been made into its own resource, which have buildings that produce it using minerals. So it's something you have to manage. And alloys also replace minerals for ship production, or at least some ship production. So military ships, I think almost all ships, actually. I don't recall seeing one in my test games that actually require minerals straight up. You still require minerals for like mining stations and research stations, but outposts, star bases, defense stations, all those things require alloys now to build. Again, they are made from minerals. So your minerals are kind of like a base resource that are then converted into more advanced resources. And then we have the standard influence and unity. And now here, research has been kind of condensed down. If you have your mouse over it or click it, you can see exactly what you need out of this, or what you get out of this. But it's still the same research. And then we also have these things here. These are your special resources. I know, at least for these top 3, you can make buildings that produce these from something else. So they're not locked behind, they're not like something you have to find in the world. You can produce them, but they are expensive. And the first 3, at least, are required for advanced structures on planets. We can see here there's no more planet and sector cap, because sectors are no longer something that you control. Because of what I'm about ready to get into, the redesign of the planets. So this is the new planet screen, guys. So they've changed a lot of things here, and we're going to go over this. This first episode's probably not going to see me unpause the game. Just giving you a heads up here. But we're going to go in and we're going to talk about this. So we have, instead of it being tile-based, there are no more tiles on the planet. There are instead districts. So you have an upper amount of districts on a planet, which I believe is based on the planet size. So this is 19, so we could have 19 districts total. They're divided between 4 district types. There's city districts, which provide housing for your pops, and 1 clerk job, which produces trade value and amenities. We'll get into those later. We have generator district, which will produce +2 housing, and technician jobs, which technicians produce energy credits, so that's how you get that. mining district, which produces +2 housing and then 2 mining jobs, and the agriculture district, which is +2 housing again and farmer jobs. So, what this does is essentially you don't have to micromanage your basic resource generating buildings anymore. Like before, whenever you got like the next tier of power generators, you'd have to go through all of your planets upgrading each individual power generator, or at least into each individual planet. That's no longer a thing. We don't have to worry about that anymore. Instead, those technologies are now tied to the jobs themselves, and we're going to get into that. Population, each pop wants a job. They want to be employed. And when they're employed, on whatever job they have, will do something. So, an example, if we go to our workers here, and we click this, let's go to the farmer's job. So, a farmer. Each farmer produces a certain amount of food and requires a certain amount of upkeep. So they produce a certain amount of food, they'll use up a certain amount of food because they're alive and they require food, and a little bit of consumer products. But then they will produce that as they're employed as a farmer. So that's what it is. So upkeep is 1, but they produce 6.8, it looks like. Cool, that's fine. There's 4 farming jobs right now, which makes sense because if we look down here, we have 2 agriculture districts with 2 jobs per district. Super simple, easy to get your head around. It takes a little bit to kind of figure out the screen, but that's why we're going over this, just in case you guys pick up the game. You guys can try it right now once the game comes out, and you won't be stuck like I was trying to learn the system. So that's kind of like what the districts do. They're your resource generating buildings now. That's what they're meant to do. So it's you have to kind of specialize between them. Then, you can see over here, there are still buildings. The buildings are for specialized things. So, planetary administration, super simple. This gives you +5 housing, cool, +1 enforcer jobs, which enforcers produce unity and decrease crime, and they also spawn 1 defensive army on the planet since you no longer build those. They're just spawned naturally depending on the size of the planet and the defenses you build in these buildings here. It produces 5 amenities. Amenities are kind of like things that make people happy, and it gives you executive jobs. And executives produce unity, amenities, and trade value, just as they work. So that's cool. But then we have like research labs. Research labs turn the consumer products you produce in your empire into the 3 research points. So there's no longer specializing research buildings that I can find. I've played a good amount of time in this game, almost 100 years I think in my test game, and I never got those. So there's just, you can upgrade these research labs, but they just increase the base output of all of the research types. Alloy foundries, so like this is a good one. So you get 2 jobs that produce alloys by using minerals. So this is kind of like the economy of the game now, as there's these 2 advanced resources that are required for things: consumer goods and alloys. Consumer goods just to keep things running, like you need food, and the alloys to keep things being built, more advanced stuff. So you need to have these buildings, and you need to have them worked. And civilian industries is a good example there as well. And these can be upgraded, but you need other specialized things to make them upgraded. So like, if I recall correctly, civilian industries can be upgraded to the 2nd tier, but to do that, you need these rare crystals. And you can find them rarely on planets or with orbital mining stations and get those. But the way that I've had to do it in my previous game, and again, it might be just where I am in the galaxy, because I've heard that there are areas in the galaxy that have more of those than others. There are buildings to build on the planet that make those resources out of other resources. So like if the rare crystal one, it would require, I believe it requires minerals to make the rare crystals, I think. And you need people working those jobs to do that. So you can kind of see where the game's going. You have to really manage these buildings and your districts. you have to make sure people are employed, make sure they're housing, so everybody's housed, and make sure the amenities, and that's a big one, make sure the amenities are in the positive, because as stability goes down, the amount of resources from the jobs goes down. So I think if you get below 50%, you start incurring negatives to the resources you get from jobs, and that can cripple your economy. I've gone through a game or two in this update where that's occurred, so keep an eye on that. So yeah, we got that. What else is there? I don't think anything else major has changed. Well, there's trade routes now that you can make, and that's because there is a new resource. So you can see here, trade value. Trade value is made naturally from planets. So the more people are on the planet and certain buildings you make, they will naturally produce trade value. But for trade value to matter, it needs to get back to your trade capital. Trade capital for us is the capital planet, essentially. And more specifically, the space station we have in our capital system. Pardon me. And to make trade routes, you have to have a outpost with a trade hub on it, and it'll go back. And this plays into how piracy works now. It's very new system that we'll get into as time goes on. But that is something that that is something I will keep an eye on once we get another planet going. But yeah, trade value can be made by pops and colonies, but can also be found naturally in systems. So if you really, and it also is good because you can have a trade policy. So if we go to our policy here, there should be a trade policy. Right now it's set to wealth creation. So if you look at this, wealth creation just essentially means each collected trade value point we get gives us a energy credit, which is good. That's a great way of getting early energy credits. Consumer benefits essentially means we get half an energy credit per trade value, but also a quarter of a consumer good. That's nice. And then marketplace of ideas, this one gives us unity and energy credits. So it all leads back to a little bit of energy credits, but you have a choice between getting extra unity and getting extra consumer goods. Really nice. Economic policy, I forget. Yeah, there's a couple of policies that have changed around. So yeah, we've got some options here. But I think I've gone over everything I can show examples of right now. I think. Oh, new thing. Market. We don't have access to it because we just don't have it. We have to. I think we have to find a couple of different empires before we can do this. But the marketplace is now a thing, so we can buy and sell. Oh no, actually we can. Well, we can sell, but there's no one to buy from. I think. I have absolutely no idea, actually. I don't think it's available right now. There is a slave market as well. Oh, no, maybe Galactic Market. Yeah, I think Galactic Market, the slave market is only available when you have the Galactic Market. You can buy and sell pops with that. But you can buy and sell resources. So if you have an extra, like, if you have a huge amount, an excess of minerals, you could sell the minerals for energy credits and then buy something with the energy credits from just the marketplace. So, good example, if I had a deficit of alloys and I was maxed out on my minerals, I could just sell a whole bunch of minerals, use the energy credits I made off of those to buy up the alloys. So, and you can also set up monthly automatic trades, which is really nice. So if you're always in a deficit and it's really hard to get out of it, that could be a way of fixing that. Oh, I had to take a drink. Been talking for a while. But yeah, so we got that. Anything else I can think of? Not a lot else. Nothing I can think of off the top of my head. So yeah, let's actually start the game by getting our start done. So research. So this is a good example of the new thing. If you remember before, you would have to research buildings that you would have to upgrade. So the research buildings, there would be 3 research techs to specialize the building so that it would prioritize one over the other. In this version now, what it is, now you can research these techs, for example, where now just researchers produce 20% extra research of physics because you research this one, which is the physics-based one. There's also one for engineering and society. And we also have here, which replaces the tech that would have given you tier 2 energy production buildings. Instead, now it actually just upgrades the technicians. So that's how that works now. What I want to do is we're going to pick up the energy credits one. Let's see here. We're going to pick up the society one here, and then pick up that one from there. So we got 2 that are actually just going to increase our research, and 1 here that'll increase our energy credit production. Now we have something to do here. We do not have the energy credits to clear out these tile blockers. Tile blockers are in the game still, but instead they just actually limit the amount of districts, so there are 3 districts locked away from our ability to use them. So we'll have to deal with that. But once those are gone, we'll actually have our full 19 districts to use. So what I want to do is let's open a building here. We do not have the resources for the building production, so we're not going to do any of those right now. Science ship. We are going to start surveying the system. And construction ship, I want extra energy credits because those are a thing. And see, mining stations and research stations still only use minerals and require energy credits to upkeep. Nothing's really changed there. So, yeah, I think that's good. So let's just unpause it, go to speed 2. And I guess we'll just start waiting and seeing what happens. So we are on a 1,000-star map here. Got a nice big selection of stars. Got the Crossroads Nebula there. And the Yothmore Shroud. And the Koran Dust Clouds. Okay. So we got an Alpine world there. So that'll be a target for early settlement. Now, you can still say... Ooh, nice. You can still see we do have a limit on star bases, which is more of a problem now. Oh, okay. Which is more of a problem now in this version because of trade capacity, or trade goods. So you want to connect up your planets with star bases, because star bases are the ones that can actually build trade routes. So let's see here. Discovery of alien life. The CSV, which stands for Corporate Survey, or Corporate Services Vessel, or Corporate Space Vessel. CSV, Yal Lorfan, has made a startling find on Impaltov 1. The planet is teeming with alien life. For the first time in history, we have encountered life forms that did not originate on Mitra. This amazing discovery has silenced those who believe we were alone in the universe. Although none of the alien creatures found on Impaltov 1, Tov 1, are sapient, it is likely only a matter of time before we encounter beings that are. We may not be alone out here. Good. More markets. Means we can sell things to them. That's really what we're after. Let's build a mining station there. Contact report simple forms of life. The Outstar Consumer Products is abuzz with news of the alien organisms discovered by the CSV Yal Lorfan some time ago. While far from intelligent, there is life out there. Intriguing. Okay, we'll have to save up some of our minerals at a certain point. Need more energy credits to start clearing out these tile blockers. Well, they're not tile blockers anymore. I guess now they're just called blockers? Yeah, they're just called blockers since there are no tiles. These are not based on tiles. These are based on population. So you can get up to 75 pops on a planet now. It doesn't. The size of the planet does not limit the amount of pops, which I actually like quite a bit. Though I think now a pop is not as easily it's very hard to figure out what a pop is now, because it used to be like if a pop equaled like 1 billion people, I think is what people settled on. So now I have no idea.
Upscaling complete.
Nice. We got a mining station there. Okay. Well, looking at the time, we are over for this episode, so I know that it is we didn't get a lot done. We've only been going for less than a year in the game, but we did learn a lot from this, and hopefully my explanations about the mechanics of MegaCorps, the new systems in the game, and everything help you guys. But yeah, thank you for joining me for this episode. I hope you join me for the next one. If you liked it, please leave a comment down below. So hit that like button. If you want to help support my channel, consider hitting the subscribe button down below, as well as taking a look at the description down below, where I have links to my Discord chat and my Patreon page. If you ever get a chance, take a look at Patreon. Every little bit helps. But I will see all of you guys in the next episode. Bye!